Black here is not to tell us that we are blacks and we are not good for nothing. It is here for us to keep reminding ourselves that back then when our ancestors were held captives happened to be the darkest time in the history of Africa, and we should never forget it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm in this township known as Assin Manso. This is about 4 hours outside of Accra. This location is where, in this part of the western side of Africa, Ghana, there's this place where the enslaved Africans had their last bath. So we just came to pay our respects to the ancestors and the sacrifices that they made at this particular location in Assin Manso. This place is called the Assin Manso River. So we're gonna go in there and see what it is.
Agu. He said something. Agu.
What's that?
Like he's not.
Oh,
In this scenario, I'm drawing your attention.
okay. Ago.
Yeah, Agu.
Yeah, as in come.
No, I mean.
Agu, sir. And you hear the sound, Agu. It means automatically the person is knocking. And he doesn't have to knock bang, bang, bang on the door. But the sound alone, Agu, means I'm knocking, can I come in?
Yeah.
So for you to respond by saying Amen,
Amen. Which
it means you're welcome to step into my home.
Because we're born in Jamaica, but we live in the US.
Yeah.
So we say, but okay, so we would say, me I go, right? But that just means I'm going. You know, me I go over there, so I'm going over there. So I guess it's the African dialect is there, but also the English is mixed up.
So that's it. So me I go over there.
Yeah.
Simple. I go. I go in the middle. So that's it's Assin Manso. So my name is Kwame Divine Azumana Wood.
Born on a Saturday?
Yes, sir. And I'm going to be your side guide here in the Assin Manso slave market and the riverside. But first of all, before we start, I would like us to walk towards the ancestral graveyard, where we can proceed from there.
Okay.
Of our lost ancestors. So many of our ancestors lost their lives from the hinterlands to get to this place. From here, they went to the dungeons at Cape Coast, Elmina, Fort Amsterdam, Fort Williams, all the way to the Christiansborg Force in Osu, Accra. A lot of them perished. So many more lost their lives through the Middle Passage to the unknown world. They got to the plantation, a lot more died. So for us to be here today, I would like us to have a minute of silence in their memories. After that, I will say may their souls rest in perfect peace, and we all could respond by saying Ashe. So please, let's have a minute of silence. brave and courageous spirits of our lost ancestors rest in perfect peace. Ashe.
Ashe.
So once again, I will welcome you by saying Akwaba to the Assin Manso slave market in the riverside. Usually, I start my presentation with 3 different quotes. One from Haile Selassie, and I quote, "An awareness of our past is essential to the establishment of our personalities and our identities as Africans." Marcus Meza Garvey Jr. "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." On this continent, among the people of Benin, Togo, and Ghana, they have these popular proverbs that stated that until the tales of the hunt is told by the lions, the hunt will always glorify the hunters. For us as Africans, our ancestors were hunted down as lions. They were kept in chains and shackles, moved from here to the unknown world. Slave trade came to an end, and we as Africans didn't get to tell our side of the story. The survival story that our ancestors have gone through, that they should have told us, the generations of today. We are not hearing it. All we kept hearing is how the Europeans enslaved us. And it is not we, the Africans, who are telling it. It is them who enslaved us who are telling us the history. The question has always been, are we hearing what we as Africans needed to hear, or what they wanted us to hear? They have fabricated so many histories, so many stories about the African continent. So many of our brothers and sisters don't even want to have anything to do with the continent.
So true.
That's how much they have brainwashed us. Today, the encouragement is coming from one of our own. Be aware of your past. The wicked one was here as a guest, landed on our shores. We welcomed them wholeheartedly, gave them places to settle. But they went ahead to manipulate us into believing that what they brought to us here is good. So, those they offered the guns to are in there, going to the walls and fighting. The victims will now be handed over to them, so they will move them towards this direction. Because there are castles and then there are forts and dungeons are along the coast. They need to bring them here to move them. But there are people who are just businessmen. They bring you here to sell, and then the others take you to the castle and move you by ship to wherever they want to take you to. So there is no way we can give the blame to them alone. The Abroni came to manipulate us, and we also believe, and then we join them into handing over our brothers and sisters to them. But on arrival in Jamaica, Krista took it upon herself to go on a hunger strike. She wouldn't feed on anything being fed to them by the British. But back then, if you are found rebelling against the food, they will have to force you to eat. Forcing her to eat, they were implementing the chisel and hammer method on her.
What do you mean?
Chisel and hammer method. Because she wouldn't open her jaw, they had to
They use a hammer method.
And took her teeth out?
took the teeth out, put a funnel in there, dish the food into the funnel with the help of water. They sustained her from dying. But Krista has already made up her mind. That's one thing of African women. Once their minds are made up, there is nothing you will do to stop them from doing what they want to achieve. And she achieved that by dying, and before her death, according to oral history from the descendants and those who brought her back home. Her dying wish was that anytime slave trade comes to an end, they should bring back anything that is left of her, even if it's a finger bone, it should be brought back home. She was brought together with Samuel Carson. Samuel happened to be the first African American to rise to the highest rank in the Navy, the admiral position. He died and he wasn't given a befitting burial, and history wasn't even written about him. So they thought it would be wise for them to bring Crystal together with Samuel in the year 1998 as part of the very first emancipation celebration here in Ghana. They were all flown in via the Ghana National Airways, moved by road until they got to the community called Anomabo. The youth there denied them access. They told the elders that these are not people who should be moved through these roads. They never left this place by flying nor by moving through roads. They went through a channel, and that's by the Middle Passage. So if you are bringing them back, you should take them through the same channel. So they took them through the ocean with the offer made to them by the young adults in the community. They gave them the fishing boats. They moved them through the ocean to the castle, the Carolusbos Castle in Cape Coast. When they got there, we have this door called the door of no return. Once you are a captive and you went through that door, you are never coming back home. So these people came back from behind the door into the castle, and they now made it a door of return. So that's how come we have the door of return in Cape Coast Castle. They were brought here on the 31st of July 1998, and finally re-entered into this earth for their souls to connect with the spirits of the land and go back out there to fetch their descendants, to come and know exactly where they hail from. 2019 we had this from Barbados. Her Excellency Mia Amamotley decided to come back with the remains of her ancestors on the year of return. She heard the message but didn't know what to do, but later on it came to her that she needed to bring something of substance, something of significance with her to the land, and that's what she brought. The remains of her ancestors were flown into this country to be buried alongside Crystal and Samuel, for them to be connected and go out there to fetch their brothers and sisters. After 2019 we were hit by the COVID, so she couldn't come back home to perform the unveiling rite. That's how come we
still covering
it to preserve that particular thing. When they are about to move it, then that zeal is there for us too. 11th of November 2019, this was brought to us. So that's how come we have those three graves.
Mayor Motley is President Mayor Motley is a special lady. Okay.
All right, so let's move towards the river. Here in Ghana, even though lots of people fought here, those whose fights impacted most was those from the diaspora. Because here, they were going through something.
Yeah.
A lot. So their fight was somehow seen as compared to us. So I'll be showing you a plant, and I'm sure from the Caribbean you know them. So this is a plant here I want to show you.
Call them Shema Maka.
Ah, Shema Maka. So
yep. You remember them?
Yeah.
yeah.
I had them in my yard in Montego Bay.
They did when we were kids.
Yep. This was our toy in the yard.
Yeah. We also played with it. Before you get to school, you might be late and the teacher will pick you. Yeah. Because playing with it is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Pacho ba mi ho. O ba mi ho ana. Pacho bra. So, that plant was used by our ancestors back then in the days as their security system.
Oh.
You see, when you touch it, it closes. And it tells me who is living in this compound that you have been around. So our ancestors didn't get their, they did not have the alarm systems we currently have.
Right.
So they were having that with them, and then they were using it to tell how close are their captors are getting to them.
Because each one speaks to each other. So if you move this one,
the other one closes, and then it goes all the way down there. So that was how it was. For several decades, our ancestors were using it to fight them. Others felt like using the plant alone would not help them. So we left to settle on top of mountains, in caves, and all those relics are right here in this country.
imagine that. So our tour guides behind us a lot of information. A lot of information about our ancestors. Some Jamaican direct connection information, which is, I'm a little bit surprised, pleasantly surprised, because it feels more connected to me and to us as people who were born in Jamaica. So in front of us now we have the door.
So we are about walking through this door, and on top of it we have welcome to the Ancestral River Park. We are going to walk through this park to access the river. This door tells a lot. The broken chains. That means we are free to do whatever we feel like doing from now. And from here we are walking on this path. The path, mostly we walk barefoot. The reason why we do that is, for us, you are now here in this land. Your ancestors plowed this place. They walked in chains and shackles. But when you return, you are reconnecting with them. So once you step on this ground barefooted, they feel you, you feel them, you absorb the energy of this space, the electrons of the ground, and then with that, whatever message they need to channel to you, they can feel free to get it to you. So that's the reason why we walk barefoot. If you are for rich, I take mine off, we take yours off, we all walk down there. Alright, so as we walk through the park, you might want to meditate. So I'll open the door for you to just have a look at the path you are going to walk on. Previously it wasn't like this. It was more narrower than this. But today, for the safety of our visitors, for the safety of our brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles coming back home and walking here barefoot, we needed to extend the width of it so that when you are walking, you don't get touched by other plants. Because back then our ancestors
Did.
get it.
Yeah.
And today we have more delicate skins as compared to our ancestors. I always say that I am strong, or we are strong, but not as strong as our ancestors.
No.
And that's the main reason why they had to be the first people to walk on this path, not us. So let's go. Whilst we walk, we take the
That's why you knock 3 times.
yeah. So the knocking, it's not as if we are walking into somebody's home. That's how we see it in real life. But in spiritual life, some people are dwelling in this place. They are residing here, and we also need to acknowledge that. So the spirits of our ancestors who passed through this place are still here with us. So we needed to knock to alert them so that they know that their children are about to step into their secret space, sacred ground, so they can grant us the opportunity to use the space afterwards. We lock it up for them to continue their daily business. are the two rivers where our ancestors took their last ever bath. But we call this side the last bath because they never took their bath in the other side of the river. They had their bath in just one of the river. And that part of the river we call the Nonkonsio or Donkonsio.
Donkunsio.
Donko.
Donko.
Donko. Insio.
Donko. Insio.
Yeah.
Donko. Insio.
So Donkonsio. So we merge it Donkonsio. So it literally means that the slaves river. And that was where our
And that's
ancestors
tree. Tree.
Yeah, so the Donko is Chu. So that's where our ancestors had their last ever bath. That part of the river is called Ochi River. And that's the part that is making the noise. That part of the river, whenever we are in a raining season and the whole place gets flooded, nobody dares go close to it. It will take you along one time. You are not heavy for that thing. It will take you. So when they brought them here, they thought they are too many. So where this small palm tree is, used to be a very tall silk cotton tree. So the hill you see here is not an actual hill. That formed the stem and the trunk of that particular tree. They had them chained around the tree. And with that tree, its nature is that it has thorns all around it to the top, the silk cotton tree. So they had their back facing the tree to the extent that when you pull the chain in an attempt to escape, you pull your brother. And the piercing of that will cause you to let go of your brother to feel free. The rest were taken into the river with their chains and shackles on, and even a metal round ball, the metal round ball like the cannonball they've been using, was attached to the chains around their ankles to hold them still in the river to prevent them from escaping. In there they were taking their bath, but the captors will have to use the bamboos with the help of the itchy leaves to scrub them so that the dirt will some way somehow be taken off. But that act was bruising them, giving them bruises all over their body. After that, they brought them out here, lined them out for them to get dry. After they got dry, they went ahead to apply shea butter or palm oil on them for them to look more presentable and attractive enough for the buyers. The buyers on their way coming, they already have their branding tools. All they needed to do is to get a captive. Once they purchase you, they went ahead to put that metal in fire, heat it up, and then they use it to scorch your skins, leaving the mark there to show that you belong to them. After the buying and selling, there were people left in the chains, and those people were classified in quotes as useless commodities. And they were shot.
Useless.
And right there they were shot, and they took their lifeless bodies into the bamboos. In the interior, they dug a pit and they dumped them there for them to rot. People call the place the bamboo cemetery, but it doesn't justify for me personally to call it a cemetery.
Right.
So personally, I prefer calling it the bamboo slave dumping site. That was where most of our ancestors ended up. So there we have the ancestral or the slave river, and at the side we have the Ochi river. Ochi literally means that something that grabs. So they never went there, but that's where we are going to.
Okay.
Yes, you see this, they have it printed in black, and the black here is not to tell us that we are blacks and we are not good for nothing. It is here for us to keep reminding ourselves that back then when our ancestors were held captives happened to be the darkest time in the history of Africa, and we should never forget it.
Yeah.
This path was left by our ancestors, and since then we have also been using it to access the river. So we can go around it and then get down there to access the other side.
Careful. You want me to? Along with the many dangers are insects. This ant is very large. I assume it's some sort of biting ant. So yes, it's beautiful here. It's amazing here. But Africa has its dangers. But it's still worth visiting. This is a pilgrimage, similar to how Muslims go to Mecca, Jews go to the Wailing Wall, Catholics go to Rome or to the Vatican. All Africans, I think, or African descended people should venture to Africa. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this portion of the video up. Next video, we're going to go to the slave dungeon and capture some shots there. Until the next one, keep moving. Peace.